was there so they could hear me. Hi, can you hear me now? This old man. We'll try this again. We're going to talk about Jojen, Bran, and the three-eyed raven. And Jojen and Mira didn't come along in the TV show until after Bran had left Winterfell and was with Osha and his brother and their Dar rules. So, but in the books, Jojen and Mira show up at Winterfell to give their pledge of fealty to the head of Winterfell, and that was at the time that the that that Ned Stark died, and Robb started a war to get him back. Before then, so they were there. But we're going to do this and play it out the um, like the show. I guess we'll go with the show. Anyway, once Bran sees everyone sees Cersei and Jaime, they're all going off for the hunt, and then he decides to climb, and he accidentally comes up on Cersei and Jaime in an incestuous encounter, and of course Jaime pushes him from the tower, and things change completely for Bran from then on. He first promised his mother he wouldn't climb anymore, but he did. Well, he got knocked down and was left for dead. They got him, and he stayed unconscious, as you know, until um, I believe it was Lady, when Ned still killed Lady. That's when he woke up. And then after that, he was there, or was it when the intruder tried to attack? Yes, the intruder tried to attack. He was there with Catelyn. He was still knocked out. But Summer was protecting Bran. And they are linked, just like all of the children of the Starks are linked to their direwolves. As long as they live, them and their direwolves will be linked together mentally. And sometimes physically, when you go inside of the mind of a direwolf, Bran went in there and he thought he was eating. It tasted good, but it wasn't food for his belly. It was food for the dog's belly. So anyway, they go down they're leaving Winterfell and they're traveling north, and along comes Jojen. Shows up in Bran's dream first, and Bran is trying to shoot the three-eyed raven, which he misses, and he hears his family. You know, which one of you were were a marksman at 10 from his dad? And then Jojen joins him, and he says, "So you can't kill it." And he says, "Why not?" Bran says, and Jojen says, "The raven is you, Bran." So this is Bran's process of being transformed into the next three-eyed raven. So, and Jojen tells him that we've come far to find you, and we'll go further. Um, and when they're traveling, Rickon has a habit of wandering off, and Osha worries. Bran tells him, "Don't worry, the dogs will take care of him." So the wolves are taking care of them, basically. And the ravens, Jojen tells Bran that the ravens bring the sight to see things from far away that are happening in real time, to see things of past times, and to see times to come. Now Jojen saw the rebellion, and the only thing that mattered out of the whole rebellion, out of all the War of the Five Kings, was Bran, and he said so. Bran was the only thing that mattered. So I still kind of think that Jon matters, and I know he does, but Bran is evidently the big player in this game at the end. Um, and then Jojen tells him he has to go after the three-eyed raven. And they're in the dream. So he climbs up the tree and he's trying to get the raven, which landed on a limb out there. And he turns around and he sees and hears his mother saying, Brandon, Brandon, you promised no more climbing, no more. And at that time, it wakes him up. He falls. Um, and then you get a little bit of Mira and Osha doing their little nagging back and forth at each other. And Bran, being the Lord, has them make peace. And they do, of course. Even admitting uh, Mira admitting that Osha's way of skinning rabbits was quicker. And Osha's saying that Mira is a good little hunter. Anyway, Jojen has a seizure. And evidently, when he has these seizures, this is when his visions come to him. And he saw John on the wrong side of the wall, surrounded by enemies. And then, and this is at the tower. And so Bran wards into Hodor to keep him quiet. And Jojen tells Bran that no one can do that. And Osha's saying that she won't go across the wall again. She just won't do it. And tells the story of how her man came home as a White Walker. And she had to burn him up inside the cabin, with the cabin. And so Bran instructs her to take Rickon to the last hearth. And so they did. Bran also tells Osha when she's trying to talk him out of going north that the raven has been coming to him since he fell, and this is what he is now. He has to find the three-eyed raven. He said, I fell for a reason, is what Bran says. He fell for a very big reason. And then, of course, the wolves save John, and he gets into Summer, and he helps John out at the very end. So they travel on without Rickon and Osha. And, of course, he warged into Summer, and they helped John, of course, before he left. They go on up to the night fort. And here, this is where Bran tells the story of the rat cook, about the guest rights being broken, and how the gods can't forgive that. And then they're talking about, they see Sam coming up the well, him and Gilly. This is after Sam has killed the White Walker. He and Gilly are traveling south to get to the Castle Black, and they've come up through a weirwood tunnel gate. There's a weirwood gate at the tunnel of the Knight's Fort. And has the face in it and everything, just like on the trees. But this here door can only be opened by someone of the Night's Watch. So I guess they took off on faith, hoping to find safety. They came north, hoping to get across the wall, and they came to the right spot because right when they needed to be there, Sam and Gilly show up, coming up through the gate and up the steps that they need to go to cross the wall. So Sam can get them through the gate and across the wall. He gives them some um, dragon glass or obsidian, and tells them about how it helps to that it will kill the White Walkers. And then they go on across, on over to towards the north, past the wall. And Jojen cautions Bran about staying in summer too long, if and how you can lose yourself. And he says if we lose you, we lose everything. Talking to Bran. This is what Mirror told Bran. So Bran they can't lose. And Bran needs to find directions. So he has his first green his first tree vision. And in there, these are the things he sees in his first tree vision. First he sees the cave and the tree and the three-eyed raven inside. Then the crows are flying across the crypt at Winterfell. Then he sees his father Ned cleaning ice in the Gods Woods at Winterfell. Then he sees Ned in King's Landing in jail with a fever. This is after all of this. Okay. 4. He hears the three-eyed raven say, "Look for me beneath the tree." And then the ravens fly. The 5th scene he saw was a child from the first scene of the first episode of the first season. The one that lived and turned around the blue eyes. He saw that child. And he saw the White Walkers at the fist of the first men when they were about to attack, on the way to attack the knights, the brothers of the Night's Watch that were there. Next, we see King's Landing throne room. It's intact, and it looks like there may be snow or something there, or just dusty. Then we see Cersei. We hear Cersei say, "He saw us!" And then you see Bran falling and ravens flying. Now the 9th thing you see is the shadow of Drogo, of a dragon, Drogo, flying over King's Landing. The same one that's been in there all through the other ones was in there in his first tree vision. And lastly, the North, falling the tree with a cave in it. Look for me beneath the tree. Well, they go on, and then they hear a baby crying. And they're in the woods, and they find ghosts caught in a trap. And in case you haven't guessed it, they're at Craster's now. So these are the Night's Watch deserters that took over Craster's place before Jon got there. And anyway, Jogen tries to get Bran to leave, but he won't leave until Ghost is freed. And he keeps thinking that Jon may be there. He doesn't know it's deserters yet. Needless to say, they all get captured. Hodor's chained up, and they're bullying him, spearing at him, and all kinds of things. Bran is questioned and slapped, and Jojen sees the tree. And Jojen tells Bran that him, Mirror, Hodor, all of them, the only reason they're there is to get him to the three-eyed raven. And then we go in and see how that Jojen uses a green dream, or whatever you call them, his green dream, his vision, to stop the deserter from hurting Mira, his sister. He tells him that he saw him die that night. They saw his body burned and his bones covered with snow. Well, snow came, and his bones were covered with snow. Well, it was Jon Snow, and he but and burned them and left their bones to have snow fall on them. So Jon Snow showed up. And anyway, they keep on emphasizing that Bran should leave. They should leave. So finally, Bran has to warg into Hodor, who, of course, kills the deserters there, kills the one Locke, the one that has Bran, and then he goes back and frees Jojen, Mira, Summer, and Ghost. And he hears Jon coming, and they're fighting. And Jojen tells him, if he sees you, you won't go north. You'll go to Castle Black, and that will be the end. So they decide to go on to Three-Eyed Raven. The thing I notice is that they keep emphasizing the importance of Bran. And they keep telling him that Bran has to make it. And then, Mira asks, how will we know when the end is? And Jojen says, you'll know while looking at a vision of his hand burning. Oh. Anyway, Jojen tells the deserter all about his death, and then we go into that. Jon shows up, and he kicks their butts, but in the meantime, Jojen and Bran and company keep going north. And anyway, Bran just does decide not to call out. In the books, Jojen saw his hands aflame. He knew his fate. He knew what was going to happen to him, when, and where. And in the books, it's different. He's said to have died. He got in the cave, but died, possibly turned into Jojen paste. We won't go into that. But in the show, he dies outside the cave by knife and is buried and is burned by Leaf. And in the Battle of the Bones, Hodor is warged, and they go on. That's it. I mean, they keep going on north until they get there. And if you saw last season, you saw what happened. You saw the Hold the Door channel episode. I believe it was episode 5. And that kind of tells me that everything that happened for a reason. Hodor being what he became, becoming what he became, all the way to the end, happened for a reason. There's more to come out in the next two seasons. Bran's power is only going to get more. It's getting stronger and stronger with every day. Like I said, if he could make it to Winterfell, he could start him um, a home office out there in the Weirwood Grove, but that's just a little kidding there. But I do believe he'll get to the wall. He'll cross, and he will tell Jon of his parentage. I am hoping that Howland Reed will come to verify that. I'm also hoping that Sam will find proof of his parentage in the Citadel. So I'm just looking at this Children of the Forest. Are they all gone? Was that the end of the Children of the Forest? Is Bran the only thing or being that is left as a part of to have an insight into their history? What will become of Bran? What will become of Jojen? What will become of Westeros and the world? I mean, there's more questions all the time. But I do think that there is a possibility that the Three-Eyed Raven, or the Greenseer, the Greenseer. Um, that the three-eyed raven, R'hllor, the faith of the seven, the house of black and white, their god is death. All of these things, I think, coordinate and accumulate and all the way come back around to the same thing. And now Bran will be the one in charge of all that. And I believe he'll be fair and decent and do what is right. Um, so, anyway, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed it. Just a little thing to see if I'm doing this right. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back and see me. God bless and keep you. And we'll see you on the next time. I've lost my Westeros Liberty station. I have Old Nan on Game of Thrones. And you can watch me there. I've lost everything, so I'm having to start all over. So anyway, I hope I'd see you there. Uh, Subscribe, like, come back and see me. Good night.